on, guys? What's going on? We are back with the daily dose of Mina, and it's been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute since I did the daily dose, so please forgive me, guys, because I promise you I'm gonna be back to being consistent with the content. I'm going to be back with being consistent with the daily streams. Obviously, not just doing the watch-alongs for the women's team and the gaming stuff. We're going to be consistent with the live streams of Daily Dose of Minute. Big up to everyone locked in. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well. It's a lunchtime stream today on Friday. Let me know how you lot are doing, because the news flying around is suggesting that a UAE-based consortium could try and fully bid to take over Manchester United from the Glazers. So we've got so much to talk about. Turki Al-Sheikh kind of broke the news because no one else, he was really the first source. He was really the first source of people to break the news. And since then, there's been some confirmations across the world of Manchester United suggesting that a UAE-based consortium is looking to take over. Now, you lot know me, guys. You know I've been learning Arabic for the last 3 months. Now, I'm not saying that I've been learning Arabic solely for this purpose. I just want to learn another language, but I've been learning Arabic for the past 3 months, sorry. Still not fluent, a little bit proficient. I can understand a lot, still getting grips with the way to speak. But I was looking up the word takeover in Arabic because I was curious. I was curious to know, how could I translate this to the viewers in the community? And according to this, now it's not as per my Arabic teacher because he's probably going to tell me it's wrong, but according to this dictionary that I have, how to say a takeover, you can say it in different ways, and if you're an Arabic speaker, please correct me in the chat. But it's suggested that saying takeover in Arabic goes as tawala al-masuliyati, which means masuliyati. I know masul means responsibility. Tawala means to take responsibility. Takeover could be happening with the UAE consortium. So we're going to talk about that. Big up to everyone in the chat. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. I know you probably didn't get notified that I was going live because I haven't done a live stream in a hot minute. I actually haven't done a live stream for this. The last time I did a daily dose of Minna was actually when we lost the Manchester derby, and that was weeks ago. Weeks ago. Did Minna say koala? I don't think I said. I said tawala. I didn't say koala. I said tawala. Al-Masuliyati. So I might just start putting that in the title of every time I'm talking about this UAE-based consortium. But we've got a lot to talk about. Not just that, but in the world of Manchester United, we have quite a bit to talk about because Harry Maguire is set to get a new contract, and we're going to talk about that because I want to hear your thoughts on that. Now, it's come out that a Finnish entrepreneur, Thomas Zilliacus, is also planning to approach investors to create his own consortium to bid for Manchester United. Now, I'm kind of shocked in a way. In a way, I'm kind of shocked because this really came out of nowhere. Like all this information about, new investors being interested in Manchester United. I'm a conspiracy theorist, so we're going to talk about all the conspiracies, but let's actually get through the news first. So Turki Al-Sheikh, I know everyone's saying Turki Al-Sheikh. Turki Al-Sheikh, a couple of days ago, put out a very cryptic tweet. And if you lot don't know who Turki Al-Sheikh is, he is a right-hand man to Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi, and he is responsible for a lot of the entertainment growth that has been happening in Saudi Arabia over the last 5-6 years, especially what everyone knows as Riyadh season. That is one of the biggest things. It's the boxing. They've had football there. I remember at the beginning of the year watching the Milan derby there. And he's not part of the royal family, but reportedly he's part of one of the other big royal families from Saudi Arabia. Actually, one of the big dynasties in Saudi. They're not a royal family, but they are close to the royal family. He's well connected. They have so much stuff. They have golf, tennis, wrestling. I'm surprised they don't have the NBA there yet. I'm surprised soon they'll probably have NFL games happening there. Like they have so much happening. He said, "Is that little yo-yo?" This guy. They have so much happening in Saudi, and it's a big part of the 2030 vision, which is related to obviously moving away from an oil-based economy and having investments across everything. And if you guys don't know, a Saudi-based consortium in collaboration with Jared Kushner just brought EA, the biggest gaming conglomerate in the world. They brought it for $55 billion last week. It took over the world of finance because buying a company, firstly, is a big thing, especially a stature of like EA. But to buy a company for $55 billion is unheard of. It's really unheard of, and they've got shares across everywhere. They got shares in Activision. I think they got shares in Nintendo. They had shares in EA. So bit by bit, they are buying stuff. And Turki al-Sheikh is connected in the Middle East. In the Middle East, there's one thing I will say: there is a dominance when it comes to investment across the world in the Middle East, and it's dominated predominantly by Saudi and the UAE. Qatar is up there, but Qatar, I think, is a bit, in my opinion, from, I've kept up a lot with politics of that side of the world, etc. I think Qatar sometimes is a bit isolated from the UAEs and the Saudis. So I'm not surprised that Turki al-Sheikh had the drop on this information if it is a UAE based consortium, which it has been suggested. Then he doubled down on it, and yesterday he said, my post about Man United's potential sell meant one thing: the club is in advance. So he's basically doubling down on it. He said they are in advanced negotiation phase with a new investor. Just to clarify, I am not the investor, nor are they from my nation. I'm posting this as a fan who wishes the deal to happen, though it might not necessarily happen. So again, people are clutching at straws. And then from there, we got a bit more information from Chris Wheeler, who confirmed a consortium based in the UAE is considering making an offer to the Glazer family, who would demand in excess of £5 billion. We're going to talk about the Glazers, guys. But they demand in excess of £5 billion to sell Manchester United. And the consortium have already approached some ex-United players about coming on board as ambassadors. Now, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, right? I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, guys. What major ex-Man United player just moved to the UAE? Rio Ferdinand. I'm just saying, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and please, Rio, don't hit me with a cease and desist. I'm joking. If it's not true, it's just a joke, okay? But Rio recently relocated to the UAE. I think he said that he was planning to for a long time anyways. But I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. But if there's ex-United players on board, and I don't know what Rio's thoughts are on Ineos. I know he's spoken about the Glazers as well. And then Chris Wheeler gave us some more information and said that Jim Ratcliffe's deal to buy some shares of United included a drag-along clause, quotation marks, that took effect this August, enabling the Glazers to open talks with potential investors without Ratcliffe's knowledge and force him to sell his shares. So before August, there was a clause in the contract of Ineos and the Glazers that they would have first dibs if the Glazers chose to sell. But then after a certain kind of buffer period, the Glazers then could go on and seek alternatives of investments. Now, before we talk about the whole, UAE, etc., because I know a lot of people are trying to figure out who is this, UAE based consortium. I would not be surprised, guys, if it comes out that one of the leading investors in this is the chairman and the owner of Emaar Property Groups, which is the biggest company in the UAE. Actually, I don't even know. Emaar Group, huge. If you've ever been to UAE, whether it's Dubai, whether it's Al Ain, Abu Dhabi, wherever you've been to in the UAE, especially in Dubai, you will see every building has Emaar written on it. Every building, and that is a big property group. And the founder is a UAE-based businessman, one of the richest men in that region, and he has investments everywhere. He's got investments all over the place, and he's most notably known for in the Middle East for building the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the UAE, and he also built the Dubai Mall. He's got bank, but I wouldn't be surprised, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if he is one of the people in the consortium. I'm not saying he is, but his net worth is literally billions. But I just want to speak about this. Quickly. The tallest building in the world, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I remember when I went to Dubai, I got pictures when I was in Dubai in 2004, and they were building it. And back then, when I went to Dubai, like back in 2004, it was just sand. It was just desert. It's crazy that I've got pictures of me in Dubai in 2004, guys. You wouldn't believe it. I need to go dig it out. And then I went back in 2008, and then I went back in 2010, and the Burj Khalifa was built by then, and it was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. I think I got a picture on my phone in 2018 when I was flying over Dubai, and you could just see, like, it's just a little bit of a city that's got buildings everywhere, and then the rest is just desert. But my parents used to go to the UAE a lot in like the 80s and the 90s. And then when me and my mom went together in 2008, she was so shocked because she was like, what the hell has happened? Like the last time I came in the 90s, it's crazy that you think like how developed maybe like the Western world was at that point. But back then, the Middle East in the 80s, the 90s even, just sand, literally just sand. But let's not get too sidetracked. I want to speak about I want to speak about the Glazers, and I want to also speak about Ineos. Chris Wheeler also suggested yesterday. Obviously, this was after the Turkey Al Sheikh tweet, but more so before he kind of confirmed it. A lot of Manchester United insiders at the club were denying it. And then the Daily Star have come out to confirm that the Glazers would consider offers of more than 5 billion for their stake in Manchester United. And I don't know, a lot of people are probably thinking, why now? I think there's so many reasons as to probably why the Glazers could have gone behind Jim Ratcliffe's back and looked for alternative investments. And I think this situation could force Ineos to sell their shares. It could force them to sell their shares. Now, we don't know the kind of deep details, but we do know, and it's been confirmed by Chris Wheeler, is if the Glazers find a new buyer to buy the majority of Manchester United, it will, the contract that they signed with Ineos enabled the Glazers to be able to have these conversations behind the back of Ineos, but also force him to sell his shares if they come to an agreement with someone. And can I just say, the Glazers hit a lick if they pull this off. And what I mean by hit a lick, guys, for those of you that don't speak maybe urban English, hit a lick means they're going to be laughing to the bank, because they would have just made Ineos by how much did Ineos buy Man United for? So Ineos brought a 27.7% stake in the club worth 1.25 billion, right? 1.25 billion pounds. And now the Glazers want in excess of 5 billion, whilst they can also force Jim Ratcliffe to sell his shares, meaning they will get that 7 billion that they asked for. Remember a couple of years ago when the whole conversation started, November 2022, the Glazers are looking to sell, or potential investors, they want around 7 billion. That's how much they value the club at. They could get that 7 billion just from chopping up the club, i.e. selling a little share or a little percentage to Ineos, and then a couple of years later selling the entire club. Now, I think the Glazers need to go. I've said this all the time. I think the Glazers need to sell the club. But I'm wondering, why now? Why are they choosing now to sell the club? Are they realizing that this promise of the new stadium and all these refurbishments, etc., Ineos cannot afford it? Are Ineos struggling to find people to invest behind closed doors? Because I know that the biggest conversation was about the stadium and finding investors. Is this UAE-based consortium actually just another investor in the club? The people that are maybe going to front the money for this new stadium and this new investment? Or are the Glazers genuinely looking to sell the entire club without having to deal with any backlash of not delivering on the stadium, not delivering on any of the promises? Because this stadium that Manchester United want to reportedly build is going to cost a lot of money. It's not going to be cheap, and it's not going to be done quickly, right? And I don't know how you guys feel. I personally don't know. And personally, I will say one thing. Until we know further information about this UAE-based consortium, I think we're just kind of like, we're just digging for information that's not really there at the moment. Because there's a lot of billionaires in the UAE. It could be anyone. It could be anyone. I don't think it will be state-owned like Sheikh Mansour at Manchester City. I think it could be a bunch of rich people, the same way that it's not exactly the same, but very similar to the way that Jared Kushner used the Saudi investment fund to kind of front the funds for his takeover of EA, or he put together a consortium. So I think it's going to be some billionaires But someone is going to be the face of it. Someone is going to be the face of it. And the Glazers are going to laugh to the bank if they pull this off. If they pull this off, they will maybe laugh to the bank. Big up to Mike, says, I think Jim was used to boost appeal by building a new trading ground and adding structure so the Glazers can find suitable investor to finish the stadium and the front. Jim was just the front. Do you guys think that? Do you think that Jim Ratcliffe was like that, come in and, you know, take the heat off us in the public eye whilst we go behind closed doors? Because also, can I say, the Glazers have good relationships in the UAE because they own a cricket team in the UAE. They have a good relationship with Sheikh Mansour of Manchester City, despite the fact that, you know, we're club rivals. You know, billionaires and businessmen have good relationships. They always have good relationships. Big up to Wajid, says the Glazers purchasing United is one of the biggest finesses in business history. Never spent a penny of their own money and had a stupid man buy a club out of desperation with a free get out clause. For me, I'm just shocked, like the way that the Glazers have pulled off this heist. I'm going to say it's a heist with Manchester United because, like Wajid said, they never spend their own money. They got 1.2 billion from Jim Ratcliffe for 27%, and now they're about to get in excess of 5 billion for the club. They won. They won. They won whatever game that they were playing. They won. They took over the club. Like, their takeover of Manchester United led to a whole new rule coming into place for people that want to buy football clubs in England. Completely changed it. Completely changed it. Big up to Connor, says, but don't most businessmen in the UAE have ties to the royal family? I know it's like that in Qatar. My knowledge of the region isn't extensive, so I'm guessing, but billionaires all over are political. Yeah, I think regardless of where you are in the world, I think you will always have good political ties if you are bringing in a lot of money for the economy. But one thing I will say, Connor, and just to all of you guys, until we kind of know who the UAE-based consortium is, it's very hard to kind of say who is linked to what. For example, I think with Qatar and when Sheikh Jassim was interested in Manchester United, obviously we knew that he had direct links to the royal family because he was from the Al Thani family in Qatar. At the moment, we don't know much. Turki Al Sheikh hasn't given us much. You know, Chris Wheeler, the DM, hasn't given us much. They've just confirmed it's a UAE-based consortium. And it's more likely than not that if they are Emirati nationals, their background is Emirati, they definitely have links probably to the royal family there. But that's why I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if it's some of the biggest billionaires in the UAE, because there are some huge big boy billionaires over there that are businessmen first. But obviously, they got good relations with anyone there. Let me see what else you guys are saying in the chat. Be sure to hit the like button as well if you've just come through. Big up to Riri, says, I think it's the stadium more so than the club. I think so. I think the stadium is definitely a big part to play in it. I think they overpromised and they maybe realized they're going to under-deliver. Because it's been now, what, a year? I think it's been about a year since they've announced this idea, or maybe even more than that. Yeah, it's been about more than a year since they announced the idea of a new stadium, and then they kind of got they started the groundwork and they put together this committee, and you know Gary Neville's on the committee, and you know they got advisory opportunities from you know the mayor of Manchester and all of that kind of stuff, and the government are willing to back you know the regeneration in the area. So they've been taking the steps over the last year and a bit, but there's not been much information fed to us, and maybe it's either being kept hush or it's not much is happening. But we haven't been given much information about who's paying for the stadium. I think that's the biggest conversation a lot of the time when we talk about the stadium is who's paying for it, because Manchester United cannot afford to pay 10 billion to build a stadium. Jim Ratcliffe probably cannot afford to pay 10 billion out of his own business pocket to sponsor the new stadium. Manchester United probably can't afford to take another bank loan or multiple bank loans and, you know, put it up against, you know, future revenues, etc. They can't afford to do that. There was talk about Manchester United and Jim Ratcliffe talking to the likes of Apple and Amazon and all these kind of big multi-billion-pound companies, but not much has come from that. So maybe I don't know, and this is just like speculation, but maybe there's a bit of animosity and frustration around the Glazers, just of how slow things are moving. Because one thing's for sure, guys, yeah, there's 3 things promised in life: death, taxes, and the Glazers not paying for a penny of anything to do with Manchester United out of their own pocket. That 1.25 billion that they made from selling 27% to Jim Ratcliffe, they are keeping that. They are not going to add even like, they're not even going to take 10% out of that to give it to the new stadium fund. I thought the stadium was going to cost around 2 billion. It is, but apparently the stadium and the regeneration and the downgrade to the Old Trafford is going to be north of 5-6 billion, which is quite a lot. It's quite a lot. And you see right now, Arsenal are planning for a extension of the Emirates. They want to build something similar to what Real Madrid did with the Bernabeu, and they're even considering, moving temporarily to Wembley Stadium. And let me see what else you guys are saying in the chat. Big up to Ginger. Says Sir Jim was brought in to streamline and cut away the fat from the club while pushing through the building plans for the new stadium. Much more attractive proposition for the new owner now. Yeah, I would definitely say that. I think one thing though, guys, I will say is that Man United will be attractive to any businessman that wants to buy it. Like, especially if you are a football fan, I think the opportunity to buy Manchester United will always intrigue anybody, right? But Sir Jim did exactly that. He came in with Barada, working on commercially advertising, making Man United more commercial, more attractive commercially. And I don't know if you guys remember, but even in his first interview and even Barada's first interview, when they both were appointed at Manchester United, they kind of spoke about improving Manchester United commercially, worldwide, globally. Like, these were the trigger words that they used to talk about Manchester United. And maybe Omar Barada was, tasked with that. I don't think, like, he comes from a CFO, like a finance background. So what better person to kind of lead the re-commercialization of Manchester United than a person that got a finance background, because he knows exactly what investors are going to be looking for when they look at the accounts of the business. Let me see what else. Y'all would be in this mess if y'all sold to Gaddafi. We would, because he's dead. So we would be in this mess. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Big up to MA in the chat. Says to clear the debt and pay for a new stadium, that's another 3 billion on top of the cost to buy the club. So it's true. If the Glazers are looking for north of 5 billion, yeah, I'm talking like 5.5, 5.6, whatever it is, yeah. If they're looking for that amount of money, then you as an investor kind of have to consider the cost of the stadium, and all these changes that you might want to come in and make at the club. You're going to be spending a shit ton of money, excuse my language, but that investor, that consortium, is going to be spending a lot of money. And I think it makes sense. I'm trying to see like the pros and the cons of the whole consortium thing, but it makes sense for a consortium to buy the club, because then that's multiple different people with multiple different avenues of income and revenue, but also multiple different other relationships outside of that consortium that can they could, if they needed outside investment, they could find it amongst themselves easily, because they've all got different relationships and different communities outside of that consortium, where they could probably get people to leverage X amount of money in exchange for this much percentage, or naming rights, etc. Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys, when I thought about United building a new stadium, I thought the first thing that would probably bring in money for Manchester United was to give the naming rights to a brand. So the likes of Amazon, Apple, Spotify. I know people entertain the idea of Tesla, but I don't want that guy that owns Tesla anywhere near the club. Excuse me, but that's the first thing that I kind of thought of, is the whole naming rights, because I know Man City get quite a bit of money from Etihad for the naming rights of the stadium, but of course Etihad is owned by the owner of Man City owns Etihad, and they own Etisalat. And they all sponsor Manchester City. So that is a different conversation. So I would have thought maybe Manchester United would be able to do that. Now, I don't know if you guys recall, but a couple of months ago, there was discussions about Spurs Stadium, and they were looking for naming rights. And I don't know if you lot remember, because this popped up for a split second and then like disappeared out of nowhere. But it was reported that Saudi were interested in buying the naming rights for that. And literally a couple of weeks later, now I say this all the time, I'm no conspiracy theorist. I am a big conspiracy theorist. But a couple of weeks later, Daniel Levy stepped down. And I've heard in the world of finance that Saudi have been looking to buy a new football club. So I don't know, we might see something pop up there. I think we might see something pop up there with the Saudis and the Saudi investment fund with that. Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't know how you guys feel about this, so please let me know in the chat. At the moment, we are all clutching at straws. We are all clutching at straws with information. But another name that has popped up in this idea is this guy just won't go away. Thomas Zilliacus, the Finnish entrepreneur. This guy, he came up. He was interested when the whole November 2022 stuff started, when Inios and all Qatar came up. He was one of the names in the hat. But he has reportedly claimed he's planning to approach investors in a bid to purchase Manchester United, and also states he would be interested in working with Jim Ratcliffe and other backers. He then went on to say, I think the Glazers, unfortunately, are a good example of somebody who's not really looking out for the club, but rather using it as a cash cow. But in any case, they are not doing what should be done. He went on to say, I have a program that involves fans who are overseas who cannot come to watch a game, and my program can evolve in a way that can bring significant new revenues to the club. So with that money, the club could do all the things it needs to do to be truly the best football club in the world, where all the best players, best managers, everyone wants to be there. Can I just say, all I've heard from this is it's not any different to what's happening in football right now, taking football overseas, probably making players play more football for more money, bringing obviously extended fans outside of England closer to the team. But it's just a bunch of hoo-ha. I don't need... What is this brother rich for? What is he rich for? Let me see. You know what I don't get? He lives in Singapore, but he's Finnish. Okay. Hold on. Let me... okay, so he made his money from telecommunications. He was formerly the head of Nokia, and then he's a founder of multiple different companies, and he's a chairman of multiple different companies, which seems to be within the social media and technology world. That's what it seems that he's very much involved in. From 1982 to 1986, he was the chairman of Finnish football club Helsinki. After moving to Singapore, he became the manager of Geylang International, which is a Singapore-based team, in 1989 to 1995. And then in March 2023, as I mentioned, he submitted a bid to buy Manchester United through his investment company for over $4 billion US. How can you go from being a businessman to being a manager? That's crazy, guys. His come up is sick. I'm trying to be like that. I'm trying to go from a content creator to a football coach. What the hell? Singapore is a great place to live. I really want to visit there. I really want to visit that place. Come on, guys. Let's not get personal with the way he looks. For me, I don't care how you look. I just want to know more about you. And from what he said about, I have a program that involves fans who are overseas who cannot come watch the game. My program can evolve in a way that can bring significant new revenues to the club. Okay, but what are you going to do to make us better? You're talking about revenue, and you're talking about bringing fans overseas closer to the game and to the team. But what are you going to do to make us win? That's what I want to know. That should be, in my opinion, guys, yeah? When somebody talks about the first thing in terms of why they want to buy the club, I think the first thing that they should be asked is, how are they going to improve the club? And how are they going to make the club better? That's it. Like, for me, that is the biggest question that I have. That is the biggest. It's like a bomb villain. Oh, you lot leave him alone, man. Let me see if I can find a better picture. Okay, here's a better picture. This is a better picture, man. That's a better picture, right, guys? The fit goes crazy, can I just say? Oh, Ridwan giving us some source. He's wanted by police in Singapore and has been accused of federal security. Claims he strongly contests, but why would he want to own a football club? So that was a question from Adam Crafton last year. Yeah, we don't want somebody. If you're wanted by the feds, don't come near us. Because the football we're playing is illegal anyway. So that's double homicide. Stay away from us. If you're wanted by police in Singapore, and police on that side of the world, they don't ramp. Yeah? and you're doing federal fraud. If you're doing federal fraud, stay away from us. Honestly, let's go back to talking about these lot, man. Let's go back to talking about this mystery consortium in the UAE. Do you guys think the Glazers will get their 5 billion that they want, or in excess of 5 billion pounds? Can I just say, what's the highest brought football sports team? The highest, I think, is it's the Dallas. Oh yeah, the Dallas Cowboys. I thought it was the Denver Broncos, but it changed. Wait, hold on. I don't want to see. Oh, it's the Lakers. It's actually the Lakers is the highest, most expensive sports team that has been brought. If you guys don't remember, the Lakers was just brought back in June. They were sold for 10 billion US dollars, which is a franchise record. It's a sports record as well, I think, because before that it was Denver Broncos at one point. And then Washington Commanders just after that, and then the Boston Celtics as well for 6 billion. And then, of course, the Lakers is the Lakers. Of course, they're going to cost 10 billion US dollars. In terms of football teams as well, I think that Manchester United, if they were to be sold, will go down the biggest. In terms of a brand, the Lakers are like the Real Madrid of basketball. Yeah, I would say, yeah, they're like the Real Madrid or the Barcelona, whichever one I think I could say. The Glazers are getting older and the family's divided, reaching to a point where everyone wants to use their own portion of inheritance for personal dreams and projects. Probably why they're kind of wanting to sell. It kind of makes sense. I personally, guys, I don't know if you guys have seen. I saw Charlotte Duckner talking about it on Sky Sports this morning, but she was talking about so Charlotte Duckner, if you lot don't know, works for the Times. She's a football reporter for the Times. She was talking about the potential Man United takeover talks that are flying around right now, and she confirmed that there is potential that the Glazers could sell the entire club, but it's only for the right price. And we all know what that price is. I think we all know what that price is. That 5 billion plus, right? What shocks me, I would say, is that Ineos weren't interested in buying the entire club. Is that kind of what this suggests? That's how I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it as, they had a period that they could trigger a sale, a full takeover, and after a certain point, and which is it's been confirmed that after August 2025, the Glazers could speak to other investors to buy the club. But I'm just wondering if that's the case. I know that it's been reported as well by multiple different outlets that the Ineos have the chance to match whatever offer is brought to the table. I don't know if they're going to match that offer, because if you've already spent 1.2 billion on however much, 27%, and now the rest of their shares, they're asking for about 5 billion or north of 5 billion. I don't think Ineos would want to like the way that I see it, and this might be silly, so let me know if you lot disagree, but if Ineos want to buy, say a UAE based consortium come in and offer 5.5 billion, and Ineos have the option to match that, they should be able to get the opportunity to deduct what they've already spent on the club from that. So 50 million here for the refurbishment, whatever million here, etc., etc. They should have that opportunity to do that. I don't think he will match. I don't think Ineos will match whatever offers brought to the table if the UAE-based consortium succumb to the wishes of the Glazers, because the Glazers have a bit of power here. Can I just say that? Like, I hate the Glazers so much in terms of owners and whatnot, but they have too much power in this situation, because they could sell, laugh to the bank with 5-6 billion pounds on top of the already whatever billion that they got from Ineos for 27%. Or they could choose to keep the club, not put a penny into it, force Jim Ratcliffe to be the face of the club, and still laugh to the bank when they get their dividends every time, because Manchester United turn over record numbers of revenue. Not have to any kind of investment into Manchester United, whether it's new facilities for the academy, whatever. Ineos are going to foot the bill, or Manchester United as an entity is going to foot the bill. The Glazers are never going to foot the bill. So in every sort of way, the Glazers kind of win. And that's what annoys me probably the most. That's what irritates me the most, is that they've got so much power in their hands in this situation that even if nobody reaches their valuation in excess of 5 billion, they could be like, okay, no worries, we'll revisit this next year. And people are going to be lining up trying to negotiate with the Glazers at a table. This Finnish entrepreneur, he ain't going nowhere. He's not going anywhere. The only time he'll finish is when he's finished. That was a good joke. That was a good joke, guys. You have to admit that was a decent joke. But yeah, I just wonder if they get that. Ineos are in 11 billion in debt. I don't think they have that kind of money. 5 billion is a lot of money, but for UAE, it's small change. I don't see Jim matching that bid. You need a different mindset to negotiate with Middle Eastern businessmen who have no regard for money and can make you look stupid. They can match 5 billion and offer another billion to see reaction. One thing I will say though is that this idea that the Middle East will pay whatever people ask for, I think that's a common misconception, because it's like how Manchester United was run under Ed Woodward. Remember when everyone would just up their prices because it's Manchester United, and Ed Woodward would just paying Harry Maguire's transfer fee up front, dropping this much on X player and Y and whatever. I don't really think they might be businessmen who have no regard for money because the money is there and it's accessible for them, but they're not idiots. That's one thing I have to say, is that I don't think that they're idiots. And if they feel like they're being made a fool of, I think not just them, but I think businessmen in general, whatever their ethnic background is or national background is, I think if they feel like they're being used as a pawn, I think they'll happily walk away from it. And if it got to a stage of them putting together a consortium, surely there's something there that makes them feel like it's worth us putting our ducks in order and getting everything lined up. Maybe they're like, because I know a lot of people, like, I was a bit skeptical when Turki al-Sheikh posted that very cryptic tweet. I tried my best to read it in Arabic. I read most of it in Arabic. But I was a bit skeptical because I was thinking, oh, this sounds very cryptic. But also I was thinking, this guy's well connected. He could either be pulling our leg or he could just be giving us a heads up because he's in with whatever's happening. And bit by bit, people downplayed it. A lot of journalists downplayed it and said, nope, United sources have disregarded this. And then within 24 hours, it's kind of flipped to, yeah, it's actually true. And the Glazers are in talks with a UAE-based consortium. They ain't dumb. They have crazy cash, but they ain't going to be taken for a ride. Exactly. I think one thing for sure is that they won't allow they won't allow it to make a fool out of them, for sure. Listen, guys, be sure to hit the like button if you've just come through. We're back with a daily dose of Minos, so you can expect the streams daily, talking all things Manchester United. Let's just move away from takeover talks and consortium talks, and let's actually talk about Harry Maguire. Man like Jacob, or Yaqub as we like to call him here, Harry Jacob Maguire looks like he's about to get a new contract at Manchester United, and it shocked me a little bit. I can't lie, it did shock me a little bit, but also it didn't shock me. Now, one thing that I will say is that if Amorim remains in charge of Manchester United for the foreseeable future, as suggested by Jim Ratcliffe, I think Harry Maguire will have a role to play in his team. And the reason why I'm saying that is because every centre-back has a role to play in Amorim's team, because Amorim does not have a set centre-back trio, which is one of, I think, the more negative stuff. He does not have a set centre-back starting three, which is frustrating. But Harry Maguire staying, I don't think it's just for fun. I don't think it's for fun. I think it's probably because of depth. It's because of this quotation mark leadership squad that has been put together at Manchester United. But I think he has some usage to Ruben Amorim. I know a lot of you lot, it's not what you want to hear. But Fabrizio Romano confirmed yesterday that Manchester United are in talks with Harry Maguire over a new deal, with his existing contract due to expire in June. Face-to-face meeting with his camp took place in recent days, and more will follow to discuss conditions. And other journalists have suggested that it's positive talks and he's expected to sign a new contract. I think Samuel Lockhurst also confirmed that. I don't know, with Manchester United, sometimes We just don't know when to end things. I think Harry Maguire is a good he's a good egg. He's a good egg to have around. And I like from what I've heard at Manchester United, he is very well respected amongst many players. Like just because you get like if you don't rate him as a footballer, there's a lot of people that respect him for his professionalism. Like one thing I will say, his professionalism, he kept it to a T when everything was falling apart at Manchester United, and he was the scapegoat for a lot of the time. And that's why I always say Harry Maguire's professionalism, I will respect him for that. I will respect him for that because he could have chosen to go down a different avenue. He didn't. But with saying that, if he's taken a reduced salary and a reduced role at the club, I'm not mad about it. Like I'm not, honestly speaking, guys, I'm not mad about it. But if you're telling me that he's gonna have an important role as a starting centre back, Brentford showed us already, like this season, and other teams have shown us last season what they are capable of doing to a potential high line back three of us with Harry Maguire at central centre back. We've already seen it in 4K this season. So if you're telling me he's on reduced salary, you know, Man United are keeping him around because of A, his professionalism, B, his influence, and C, depth, okay, cool. But that shouldn't stop Man United, I think, from going out and actually signing a centre-back next summer. I think we need a central centre-back, for sure. I think having, I think Lisandro Martinez, I'm not too sure about where his future lies. I saw that he's back individually training, but we don't know if he's going to stay fit. You know, Lenny Yoro should be the right-sided starting centre-back. The central centre-back still kind of question marks. De Ligt has been good this season, but he's not getting that run of consistency, which I don't think any centre-back at Man United is going to get with Ruben Amorim. I don't think they're going to get that consistency of playing in their preferred position in the back line across multiple games consistently without being brought off in the 70th minute, 80th minute. Maguire for more years, we need to move on, and the next Euro type an upcoming player. Fairs. Ephraim says, big up Minnow, we do not learn from our mistakes. Yeah, I feel like sometimes with teams, with players, we just don't know when to call it quits. We don't know when to call it quits. MA says no to Maguire. He already cost the club 140 million. Damn, that's a lot of money. And been terrible for 98% of the time he's been here. Mike says, I don't mind Maguire staying. He has very clutch moments, especially with those last minute headers. That's the thing. I think I don't want to say this is Ruben Amorim's way of keeping him, but I do think Ruben Amorim has probably a part to play in Harry Maguire staying. Not because of his using him as a striker, but more so I think it's because of the depth part. Joe says, I'm not mad at him staying. D-Fly says 1 year extension. He deserves that. I think he'll probably get 2 years. He'll probably get 2 years, I think. Connor says, Maguire seems a great dude, and in the right conditions, he's a very good defender. As a backup option on reduced wages, when we inevitably change to a back four, he's a great option. Connor's keeping hope that United are going to change to a back four. I feel like with Jim Ratcliffe's recent comments about Ruben Amorim, I've kind of let go of the idea of Manchester United letting Ruben Amorim go. Let me actually bring up a picture here of Amorim and Ratcliffe together, because we can actually touch on that quickly, because I made a video about it, but I think we could talk about it more now on the stream, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. Obviously, on his business podcast, Jim Ratcliffe was asked about Manchester United. He was on a business podcast with The Times, obviously talking about business, but also talking about Man United. And he spoke about Ruben Amorim and kind of giving him 3 years, or he's not even, his contract is about 3 years. He's got 2 years now left on his contract, actually. And he spoke about giving him time. And he spoke about the idea of, Sir Alex's time at Manchester United and Arteta's time at Arsenal, the beginning phases not really being that strong. But I made a video about it, and I kind of said my 2 cents of it. I think Ineos and Ratcliffe, Barada, etc., they have to make a decision about Ruben Amorim that saves them face as well. Now, let's be honest. They don't need to save face with fans. They don't. They make the decision, and he sat there himself on his mighty throne, and he even said himself, I'm not going to succumb to, knee-jerk reactions from journalists and, fans, etc., etc. He said, I'm going to make the decisions on how we best see fit. And the reason why I think they can't sack Amram, or maybe they publicly have to say that they can't sack him, is because it would look so bad on them, because that is their first major, I think, appointment. I think Jim Ratcliffe, Barada, Wilcox, etc., coming into their roles, or even like Barada, for example, coming in as CEO, I think Amram coming in as a head coach was a bigger decision for Ratcliffe than bringing in Barada as a CEO. Because yes, bringing in your CEO is big, and poaching him from Manchester City is huge, but your manager is your bread and butter. That's your everyday. That's your everyday. And so with Ruben Amorim, they can't publicly say, oh, yeah, we're going to get rid of him if results don't improve. The same way with Ten Hag, they didn't allude to anything about, letting him go or keeping him after the FA Cup. They were very much like, oh, we're going to back him. Oh, we're going to back him. Oh, we're going to back him. Now, with saying all of that, I felt like it was in my video, I think I said it's a barbershop opinion. I ain't never stepped foot in a barbershop, guys. Actually, I have. I've taken my nephews to get haircuts before. But I know that in barbershops, football conversations are known to be, have some of the wildest hot takes. But even on Twitter, for example, I would expect that opinion about Sir Alex and Arteta. I would expect that from an average Twitter user. I wouldn't expect Jim Ratcliffe to say that in an interview, because I think it's missing a lot of context. And I think that's the most important part. The context is most important part. It's not a process of opinion to say that Ruben Amorim statistically is the worst manager at Manchester United. That is not an opinion. It's a fact driven by data. So to say that, Sir Alex had time, despite the fact that he had a rough start, he had credit in the bank, keeping Manchester United up. Arteta had credit in the bank by winning the FA Cup. I don't think Ruben Amorim has done anything to warrant credit in the bank. And that I think people are unhappy with me saying that in my video, which I don't know why, because it's just, I don't think I said anything outrageous. But I don't think in the nearly 1 year of Ruben Amorim being Manchester United, I don't think being at Manchester United, I don't think he has accumulated any credit in the bank to get this much backing. But I do have to say that I know I know that he can't come out and say I'm going to sack him. So I understand what he said. I don't even know if he believes what he's saying. I don't even know if he genuinely believes what he's saying. He can't say, oh, we'll give him 6 months. He can't put a time frame on it, because suddenly it'll be all eyes are already on Amorim. But if Ratcliffe publicly said we're giving him 6 months to turn things around, eyes will be even more sharp on him. Everyone will be doing a hate watch on Manchester United. All the rival fans will be doing a watch along so that, he stays as Manchester. And they will want Man United to win games under Amorim just so that he stays. It will be too much eyes on him. And you don't know, he might crumble under that pressure. So I get why Ratcliffe said what he said. A lot of it, I kind of get it. What Fergie did at Aberdeen is an all-time accomplishment. Facts. He also finished second in his second season. Comparing him to Fergie is just unfounded. You know what I don't get is when people compare it to Fergie. Is like, Fergie for me is like one of one. The same way, whoever comes in after Pep at Manchester City, for me, I won't use Pep as the kind of pinnacle, because he's one of one at Manchester City too. There's very few managers in the world of football who are their own type of manager, and no one will ever replicate what they've done. And with Sir Alex, I actually hate it when people talk about, oh, if you were a Man United fan, then you would have been asking for Sir Alex to be sacked. The context is completely different. And I actually think out of every manager that has been at Manchester United, especially in recent years, I think Amorim has had a lot of free reign with getting rid of the players that he wants to get rid of. To an extent, I don't think he's brought in every player that he wanted, but he wanted a left wing back, they brought in Patrick Dorgu. He wanted a new goalkeeper, they brought in Lamens. He wanted a striker, they brought in Sesko. He wanted new attackers after Man United failed to score 50 goals in the league. They brought in a whole new front three. But there are some parts that they didn't bring in, because you can't address everything in one window. The best thing, in my opinion, that you can do as a manager is just gain yourself some credit as time goes on. Just gain yourself some credit. Because then, if you've got enough credit in the bank come next summer, you will be able to fill the roles that you didn't get to fill the summer before that. And it's a growing process. It's a growing process. I don't expect Man United to fix everything in one window, but if you've had the opportunity to get rid of every player that the only player that he didn't get rid of was Malacia. He created a whole bomb squad at Manchester United and media labeled them as a bomb squad. And he got rid of all of them. He publicly said that he would play his 62, 63-year-old goalkeeper coach ahead of anyone that doesn't put in effort at training. And publicly kind of, I think, platformed Marcus Rashford to eventually leave. He, made an example of Garnacho. He's had the opportunity to do that. And I think that is backing in a way. I think Ineos have backed that. They've backed his decisions. He said, I don't want Garnacho, sell. I don't want Rashford, get rid. I don't want Højlund, get me a new striker, get rid. I don't want Onana, get rid, bring in a new goalkeeper. I think to an extent, he's had all of those luxuries. So, Mina, how much percent you will blame the manager? I don't... I think it's tough to put a percentage on it. Because I feel bad for Amorim and I really want him to turn it around. I always say, there's nothing more that I would want than for him to turn it around. But I think the facts are there to kind of speak for itself. And I will say, a lot of people back Amorim and a lot of people want him out. But I'm more of the opinion that what I see is what I get, and what I see is not good enough. Factually, Manchester United are bad. Statistically, Manchester United are bad. The Rangers head coach just got sacked. He got a better win rate than Amorim. Imagine that. And Rangers and Celtic, obviously, we know are big dogs over there. But he has a better win rate in the league. He had a 29%, I think, win rate, which got him sacked. I forgot what his name was, because that guy's had a stinker of a career as a manager, because he left QPR at one point as well. But yeah, he's 29%, got him sacked with Rangers. Ruben Amorim hasn't even broken 29%. So when I say I'm always happy to hear opinions about the manager, and I always I encourage that conversation. You don't know this community is based on healthy conversations, respectful conversations, because I always want to hear different opinions. But don't gaslight someone else who's using eye test and data, etc., to form their opinion, and don't gaslight them and say it's bigger than Amorim. It is probably bigger than Amorim, but equally, he has a part to play in it. When I speak about how bad Manchester United are, I'm not speaking about everything that's happening behind closed doors. I'm talking about what's happening on the pitch and what's happening in the league table. Russell Martin, yeah, there you go. Russell Martin, that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, enough about the manager and enough about the Glazers. Let's talk about quickly Bruno Fernandes. Simon Stone at the BBC confirms that Bruno Fernandes has no interest in moving to the Saudi Pro League at the end of the season. Sources say that Fernandes is determined to put everything into helping United towards a better future, whilst also believing it is possible to secure a top 5 finish that could earn a place in next season's Champions League. Now, multiple other reporters have also said that, and I saw a report earlier in the international break that said that sources close to Bruno Fernandes have said that he's unhappy with the position that he's playing under the manager. I don't know why we're already thinking about next summer, guys. I don't know why. And when I say I don't know why we're already thinking about next summer, I mean, we don't even know where we're going to finish. We don't even know where we are going to finish next summer. We don't know how the season is going to play out for us. We don't even know who the manager is going to be. We don't know if Amorim will still be here. So why are we already concerning ourselves with whether Bruno is going to go to Saudi or not? I'd rather look towards the January transfer window. And I think it was Sully. Shout out to Sully. I think broke some news a couple of days ago about Kobbie Mainoo being frustrated with his situation at Manchester United. And then today has been reported by Italian media source Gazzetta that Napoli are targeting Kobbie Mainoo on a January loan being a possibility. Mainoo is unhappy with the start of the season and is pushing for a January transfer, even on loan. The Englishman's short-term goal is to show off his skill and secure a place in Tuchel's squad for next World Cup. So I think there is no Man United player in Tuchel's most recent international squad. Marcus Rashford, if you still count him as a Man United player. I'm really sad about the way this Mainoo situation is playing out. It's very unfortunate. And you know what? I think Jim Ratcliffe made a very interesting point in his interview the other day, in his podcast appearance, where he spoke about academy players and said, if you are creating the best talents, you're saving yourself a lot of money because you don't have to go out and buy people. But this is right now, this situation that we are in right now with Manchester United is a perfect example of, okay, we've produced these academy talents, so why is things not working out for them? And I said this when Marcus Rashford left. And I'm going to say this if Kobbie Mainoo leaves in January. We need to talk about fundamentally what is wrong at Manchester United with the academy to first team path over the last decade or so. Sir Alex had a relatively good kind of transfer process from academy to first team with identifying talents, etc. But over the last decade, guys, we have produced some quality players, and yet none of them are in our squad right now. None. And if Kobbie Mainoo leaves, I think that is the icing on the cake of it all. And we need to have a conversation about it. Because for me, Marcus Rashford leaving was an eye-opener. Things went wrong on his part. But again, fundamentally, there's something wrong at Manchester United. Scott McTominay, gone. And a lot of people wanted him gone. I think Scott McTominay's best role at Manchester United is the role that he's playing now at Napoli. People didn't want to see that. So Man United saw him as an asset to sell, and they did, against Erik ten Hag's wishes. I think Erik ten Hag was the guy that wanted to keep him. You think about the best talents produced in the last decade, yeah? Not one of them have a part to play in our squad right now. Is that not sad? And that's why I say, yes, we could do, like, people are always like, you're either manager FC or player FC. No, what the hell is going wrong at Manchester United FC? That's the question that I have. And it's very sad. It's very, very sad. Rashford, Greenwood, McTominay, Mainoo, I think we did okay. Do you think we've done okay? Because none of them play for Manchester United anymore. Greenwood is a factor in its own conversation. Rashford, we've seen what happened. McTominay, we've seen what happened. And Kobbie Mainoo is going down that path as well. I remember I went to a Fulham game at Craven Cottage, what was it, second game of the season or something? I watched Kobbie Mainoo warm up, guys, for about 50-something minutes. He was warming up right in front of where I was sat. And I was thinking, I remember I posted on my story saying free Kobbie, #free Kobbie. I posted on my Instagram story whilst he was warming up. I don't even think he came on. Maybe he came on for a minute. But for me, it's more so, what is going wrong? Someone in my block is playing loud music right now. I don't even know. It sounds like Brazilian music. I don't think you lot can hear it. What's worse? Let's not talk about. I don't want to focus on Amorim. Honestly, I don't want to focus on him because it's international break. Let's talk about everything else. It's because we're trying to force players into a bespoke system that demands very specific characteristics. Fair enough. That is fair enough. I don't see us getting more than 30-40 million for Mainoo the way Amorim has binned him. You know what's crazy is he had like a 70-80 million pound valuation. I remember the year he broke into Man United, and then obviously he went to the Euros with England, and that transfer market do like a valuation of like all the players on the 21. And I think he was like, Euro, Garnacho were in the top 10 most valued players under 21. Obviously, Lamine Yamal was number 1. And then you had people like Kubasi in there and whatnot. But we had 3 players in that top 10 in recent years. And it's possible that 2 of them now won't play for Manchester United. And Lenny Yoro, I don't even know where his future lies at Manchester United because he's not really getting game time either. But listen, guys, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're new here. Remember, I keep saying we because there's no we on this channel. It's just me that runs this channel. But I will be live later on this evening playing Ghost of Yotai. I've been saying I'm going to do a stream for a long, long time, and I'm finally doing it. So be sure to come through. Daily Dose of Minna. We are back with the Daily Dose of Minna. I will be live every single day. I promise you lot. I promise you lot. We are on the road to 20k, and we're not that far off right now from 18k. So be sure to hit the like button on your way out. If there's any breaking news, obviously, between now and the end of the day, I will definitely be live. You lot know that. So make sure you turn on your post notifications. So when I go live, you lot will get notified already. Big up to all of you lot. Be sure to hit the like button on your way out if you haven't. Loved hearing your thoughts. And it's good to be back doing the streams, guys. It's good. It's good. Hit the like button on your way out, guys. I'm out. Have a good Friday afternoon. Peace.